Hello, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I am Pastor Temitope Dua. Today we are doing a character study on one of the prophets in the Bible, in the Old Testament. His name is Balaam. If you are conversant with reading the word of the Lord, you must have heard or you must have read about Balaam in the Old Testament. In the book of Numbers, chapter 22, 23, and chapter 24. So the title of the message today is The Will and Permissive Will of God. The Will and Permissive Will of God. Israel on their way to the promised land, pitched near the land of the Moabites. And their king, Balak, was so afraid of the Israelites. He heard a lot of things, and he was so scared looking at the host. So he decided with his own chiefs and those around him that we need to do something as quickly as possible about these people. We can't allow them to stay here, or else they will take over our land. Especially getting to know that they have just defeated the Amorites. So he decided to call for Balaam, a prophet, to help curse Israel. So in the book of Numbers chapter 22 and verse 28, Balak sent emissaries to Balaam, requesting that Balaam should come to him to help curse Israel. Balaam lodged the emissaries in his house, and in verses 9 to 12, there was a dialogue between the Lord and Balaam to determine God's decision concerning the request of Balak. Now, the Lord told Balaam, don't go with them. And the second instruction was, don't curse Israel because they are blessed. You cannot curse whom God has blessed. That was the will of God. And Balaam sent these people back to their land to tell their king, I'm sorry, I can do it. Now, one thing you need to understand, children of God, about Satan is that he never gives up. And if there's one thing too we need to do as children of God, is never to give up to the moves of the kingdom of darkness. Balak sent other dignitaries back, higher than the first group, to convince Balaam that he will promote Balaam. He's ready to promote Balaam. He's ready to give him a lot of reward. Please come and do this thing for me. When those dignitaries came, that is in verse 16 to 18, Balaam took them in again, lodged them, and said, let me see what God will say again to me concerning this. And in verse 20, the Lord permitted Balaam to go. Remember, the Lord told him initially, don't go. But this time around, in verse 20, the Lord permitted Balaam to go. Now, this permission is a permissive will of God. The word of the Lord explained to us that when you go to the Lord and you have idol in your heart, He will prophesy unto you according to the multitude of idols in your heart. The Lord spoke to Balaam initially, don't go. But this time around he came, hoping to persuade the Lord. You don't persuade the Lord. Children of God, you can't persuade God. You listen to the instruction of God and you follow his instruction. The Lord permitted Balaam to go ahead. Now between verse 22 and 34, the Lord sent an angel to stand in the way of Balaam, hoping that Balaam will think twice and return back home. I want you to understand that God knows everything. He knew that Balaam will not come back, but gave Balaam that chance. That was where the donkey spoke to Balaam, because Balaam was beating the donkey. Move this way, move that way. And eventually the donkey spoke to Balaam. At long last, still, Balaam decided to continue the journey. He spoke to the angel, and the angel permitted him at long last. Brethren, we need to understand this. You see, those in the kingdom of darkness, they know how to manipulate their pagan gods. Pagan gods are open to manipulation. You remember the case of prophets of Baal in 1 Kings chapter 18 from verse 26 to 27. The prophets of Baal were cutting themselves to gain the attention of their God so that he would change his mind and do what they are asking their gods to do. But our God is a sovereign God. Once he speaks, it is established. You don't try to manipulate God. You can't manipulate God. He sees everything. He knows everything. Brethren, what are the things we can learn from Balaam's story? Number one, Balaam knew the will of God, but he avoided it. Now, concerning your business, when you ask God, what was it? What did he confirm to you? Concerning the choice of spouse, what did he tell you? Concerning your career, what did he say to you? You might not like what God pronounced to you, but he's got your interest at heart. He has given you the best deal. If you avoid his will, you are looking for trouble, just as Balaam did here. We need to be careful. Also, God does not approve of everything he allows. In verse 20, the Lord permitted Balaam. That was his permissive will. That was not his will. We need to be careful. We need to understand his will. And then we need to understand that his permissive will is somewhere you don't want to go, because you won't have a good story to tell at the end of the day. Furthermore, covetousness was Balaam's greatest undoing. Balak told him, I will reward you. The word of the Lord explained to us never to join the multitude to do evil. They called Balaam to come and curse, and the Lord told him, don't go. Besides, you cannot curse these people because I've blessed them. But covetousness, reward, made Balaam to insist, try to see how he can manipulate. What else can we learn from here? God uses permissive will to fulfill his purpose. You might say, is that really good? Of course. He has said, don't do it. You insist on doing it. You disobey God. One thing about God is this: his will always come to pass, one way or the other. He uses our disobedience to instruct others. When you refuse to follow the will of God, eventually you get into trouble. Others will learn. Ananias and Sapphira, in the book of Acts chapter 5, their problem, God used it to bring fear to the early church. Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord warned him through Daniel and others. He refused. And he continued in his evil ways. Eventually, God took him out from the midst of humans. And he was in the forest for 7 years. After he repented, God brought him back again. Why? So that the purpose of God might be achieved. And what was that purpose? That God alone ruleth in the affairs of men. Lastly, brethren, understand one thing. When you walk contrary to the will of God, that means you are working against God. The God that is supposed to be your advocate now will become your adversary. The question is this, brethren: can you battle with the Lord? You know you cannot battle with the Lord. So, my counsel to us is this: at every point in time you go before the presence of the Lord to ask, to inquire about things, understand, always go for the will of God. You may not like it at the initial stage, but if you hold on to do the will of God, you will bless his name, having listened to him and having followed his instruction. I pray that the Lord will bless you according to his will and will make you understand that the will of God is the best choice for you.